Welcome back. You're watching India Market Open. We're moments away from the pre-open rates. Let's see where they start, and indications are for just a slight negative start for the Nifty 50, almost flat if you can call it that. And let's see if that holds through the opening couple of hours of trade. I want to bring in Nilesh Jain as well, who's the head AVP Technical and Derivatives Research. Nilesh, will come to you from Centrum Broking, of course, and good morning to you. Come to you in just a bit, but I do want to address the latest update from Tata Capital. It is approved an IPO, including a fresh issue of 23 crore shares. This was in the offing, of course. Hiral, you have context here?
Absolutely. So basically, the board was supposed to meet today, and the meeting was to consider the rights issue proposal, right? So this is coming amidst the plan for an IPO. And you had TCL and the parent, which is Tata Sons, they were required to list their equity shares on the exchanges. So basis that, this is just a precursor to the IPO. So 23 crore shares, the quantum and the timing, the deal size and the timing is something that we should be watching out for. I think, if I'm not mistaken, 1,500 odd crores is what the street was watching out for overall.
And that seems to be the case as well. That's the amount that is being quoted right now. First ticks coming in. We will get a sense from Nilesh what he thinks about the open today. Nilesh, what is your expectation? So far, what we've been hearing is that this is a sell-on-rise market. Don't be too bullish, even if you see a bit of a spurt, and be a little cautious. Is that the approach that you would take as well?
Morning, Alex. Morning, everyone. Absolutely. So, caution is advised. There are multiple reasons for that. Yesterday, we saw a breakdown in the Nifty index below 22,800. The major undertone constantly is witnessing kind of a sell-off and looking weak as well. And since we have monthly of an expiry this week of Nifty and Bank Nifty, the data also suggests that we may see a subdued expiry somewhere in the range of 22,300 to 22,800. So that's the broader 500-point expiry range. But it looks difficult for the Nifty to cross 23,000 levels on immediate basis. And the resistance after yesterday's breakdown has also shifted lower to 22,800 now. So for the day, looking at the overall global market, we can expect a weaker start. But yesterday's gap down, that particular gap area is acting as a stiff resistance now. So on the lower side, our target for the Nifty comes around 22,200 to 22,000. So that's the zone where Nifty should find some support. But from current level, any pullbacks should be used as an exit opportunity, and sell on rise should be the strategy in the Nifty. On the other hand, Bank Nifty yesterday have witnessed some bit of a respite, and due to which it formed a small leg bullish candle with a long lower shadow that basically indicates indecisiveness among the participants. But overall, comparatively, Bank Nifty structure looks slightly on a positive side. So we may see stock-specific move within banking space may outperform. So stock-specific and sector-specific is something that needs to be focused on. Index front, we can expect a further downtick to continue.
All right. So Nilesh has also affirmed the sell on the rise strategy. Nilesh, what are the stocks that you're watching out? What are your top picks looking like?
Buy and one sell recommendation. So balanced approach should be there in the market. So on the buy side, I have one stock from auto space, that's the Eicher Motor. So from past 4 consecutive sessions, we have seen a strong rebound in this particular counter. And Eicher Motor also reclaimed its 100-day moving average yesterday. Looks positive for a follow-up move to continue. If at all we see any dip due to the market volatility, that can be used as a buying opportunity. Keep a stop loss below 4920 on the upside. We can expect a follow-up move towards 5150 to 5200. On the other hand, on the sell side, we have Tata Chemical. So overall chemical basket as a whole has been under pressure, and we have seen a constant downtrend in the overall chemical space. So Tata Chemical is one of the weakest structure, and we can expect a follow-up move to continue on the lower side towards 815. So that's the immediate target for Tata Chemicals. Stop loss can be placed at 851.
All right. So those are the picks that Nilesh has for us. Sunny, I'm coming to you on a question mark on Indigo, because we've talked about this, and the question is this interest in the stock, Sunny, primarily because of the event that we're witnessing right now and the elevated demand for air traffic? Or do you think that it's a more sustainable story, and would you have a buy rating on the stock right now?
Alex, I think it's a more of a sustainable story. So, if you remember, Interglobe was facing a challenge of grounded aircraft, and that is something which we feel that ease off in over the period of next 3 to 6 months. So that will definitely add capacity to Interglobe aviation fleet, and on the top of that, demand continue to remain at least robust. Air traffic passenger continue to grow in the range of 8 to 10% month every month, year over year. So again, being with a market leader, 60-65% market share, I think PLF should be robust for the Q4 also. And on the top of that, crude has been pretty stable in the band of $74-75 to barrel. So I think Q4 again seems to be a decent quarter from an earning perspective as far as Interglobe aviation is concerned. And we continue to remain bullish on the Interglobe with a price target of 5,200. And this was our one of our pick during our recent report post budget.
Sunny, in fact, let's just come back to our Tata Capital. Now, Sajid is joining us to give us more. Sajid, clearly, this was a precursor. We were awaiting the IPO details as well. Rights issue meeting was planned today, right? What are the updates that you're picking up? And does this tell us as to how much timelines that we have to wait for in terms of the listing?
So, as we currently speak, there is a current amalgamation which is happening between Tata Capital and Tata Motor Finance, which is there. That amalgamation is towards the end. So, it's expected to be completed by the coming fiscal, and as part of that, what Tata Capital is now doing is raising 1,504 crores through rights issue, which is to existing shareholders, and that includes some of the private equity and funds which are already invested in Tata Capital. And I'm not sure how much of contribution will come from the Tata Motors, because Tata Motors also will hold a stake in Tata Capital after amalgamation of Tata Motors Finance, which is there. But what is important is that there's a September 2025 deadline for the IPO of Tata Capital, and as part of that, they've already announced a process wherein they're going to issue nearly 23 crore shares in fresh equity, and there will be an offer for share sale as well, which will be for existing and eligible shareholders of Tata Capital. So it seems that it's we haven't seen looked at the valuation and at what price the rights issue is happening at this point in time, but it seems like it's going to be more than $1 billion IPO which will come in from Tata Capital.
And any timelines that the analysts are tracking so far in terms of when this can be expected?
So they have a outer limit of September 25, which is there for Tata Capital. Also, it is important to note that because the Tata Capital IPO is now happening, what is the kind of response that they would have got for Tata Sons as well?
Correct.
Because they were trying to avoid a Tata Sons listing, which is there, and as part of the entire thing, they were concentrating the entire financial vertical into Tata Capital, and Tata Capital being the upper layer NBFC, they will have to come out with an IPO for that. So if you look at the timelines, the audited numbers for FY25 will happen by April. So now that they have announced how many shares are going to be there, I think the bankers are already in for that, and we expect the filing to happen in first quarter of FY26.
Correct.
And then
so will the amalgamation with Tata Motors commercial vehicles or commercial financing, will it take place before the IPO? Or
it's under process. So it's an NCLT process which is undergoing. So I think they're expecting the entire thing to happen by the end of the fiscal, which will happen
March.
with the completion, which will happen.
But any stock reaction that we could see in terms of Tata companies
Motors
right now? Because
Tata Motors is something we need to see what Tata Motors stake is. I'm not getting. I don't remember offhand what is the stake which will be as part of the entire amalgamation. But my understanding is that OFS will include Tata Motors shares as well. So Tata Motors will raise money from this Tata Capital and then use to reduce debt.
So this is going to be an
Tata Motors has
interesting
already mentioned that they're going to go towards
net
debt zero.
So this is going to be an interesting aspect we should be watching out for from a Tata Motors perspective. Very quickly, Sunny, a quick word in terms of Tata Motors basis, the Tata Capital rights issue IPO that Sajid has been telling us about.
Yeah, I think, sorry, I don't have the ready number, how much stake Tata Motors is holding in a Tata Chemical post this transaction, which is panning out between the financing arm of Tata Motors and this Tata Capital. So we need to check the shareholding of Tata Motors in Tata Capital. But having said that, I was just going through the presentation of Tata Capital, which is available on their website. Seems to be a very large NBFC, I think close to 1 lakh 80,000 crore kind of loan book size, annual profit of close to 4,000 crore number. So I think in case Tata Motors is holding a significant stake in Tata Capital, that will definitely lead to a value unlock.
Uh, Thanks, Sunny, for that. Let's talk about the big brokerage call of the day, and we've got Goldman Sachs that is positive on Trent. Mika joining in to tell you more. Mika?
Yeah, the brokerages has maintained a buy rating with a target price of 8,120 rupees, which implies a 60% upside to the previous close. Now, the brokerage did meet with Neeraj Masood, the CFO of the company, and here are the key takeaways. The management has stated faster than expected store sales ramp up and healthy cannibalization were the two main reasons for the moderation in the like-to-like growth of the company. Cannibalization is basically what occurs when new stores take away sales from the existing stores which are owned by the same company. Now, the company does expect the strategy of healthy cannibalization to eventually lead to higher wallet share. Management has also stated that one of the main reasons for the like-to-like moderation was not competition but this. In terms of forward-looking statements, Trend does expect the impact of the store portfolio optimization agenda to be lower in FY26, and strong retail area addition over the last year will help the sales growth going forward. They also expect sustainable margins of the business, which could be higher once their high store expansion phase is behind them. And lastly, the good initial experience with they've got good initial experience with the lab-grown diamond category launch.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Mika, for that update. Nilesh, just wondering if you're spotting anything from the rates that have settled right now, anything moving, any opportunity that you're seeing right now?
So one particular counter, yesterday we saw a good reversal, that was VBL, Varun Beverage Limited. So this particular stock, in fact, is witnessing a strong rebound. If at all we see any dip towards 485, 480, that can be again a good opportunity to take a long position in this particular counter with a stop loss below 475. Because we are getting early signs of base formation in this particular stock, and there could be possibility for follow-up move towards 510, 520 on the upside.
Okay, while we're waiting, just take a look at some of the stocks that we've mentioned in the list today. Pull up something like a Jubilant Pharmova, significant update for this company, and let's see what the pre-open rate is indicating, just about a 1% up move. You have NTPC Green, which was under pressure yesterday, which should be seeing a little bit of an uptick at the start at least. Yeah, so there you go, 2.6% or thereabouts. Let's pull up something like a Tata Motors as well, just to see whether there's a reaction at the start. Of course, early days, and we'll have to understand what the implications of this will be. But several more. Let's pull up Nazara Tech as well. There's an acquisition that Mahima told you about today, and it is up and about, or just about. Let's see. The pharma space, Biocon, there was an update there. There's the launch of Yesin Tech. I believe Hiral told you about this, just about 1% or so. So no very large moves unless I'm missing the mark.
No, I mean, it is probably going to be stock specific, but there is that slight bit of cautiousness that is prevailing, and because it's a truncated week, probably the volumes also will be low in terms of the markets today, right? So don't expect a very broad range is the read that I'm picking up so far, Alex. But clearly, in fact, Nilesh, let me come to you with two stocks. From the aviation pack, you have a SpiceJet as well as a Indigo. 5 or 6 consecutive session of gains is what we've seen in terms of where Indigo goes. Not a similar trend in terms of SpiceJet. What are charts indicating? Any buy calls coming in on that front?
So Indigo is a buy. Yesterday, we saw another day of follow-up move on the upside, as you have rightly pointed out, consecutive 6 days of gain in Indigo. And looks like we may see a follow-up move to continue in this particular counter towards 4650 to 4700. So that's the target for Indigo. any dip can be used as a buying opportunity. This particular counter, in fact, is outperforming the market and trading well above all long-term and short-term moving averages. We have also seen a buy crossover as well. So any dip should be used as a buying opportunity. Keep a stop loss below 4460, and the target on the upside comes around 4650 to 4700, and similar with the SpiceJet. But I have more confidence and conviction in Indigo than SpiceJet, because SpiceJet is merely witnessing a pullback, and this pullback may get arrested somewhere around 49.50. So not that conviction in SpiceJet, but can be played purely from pullback perspective with a stop loss below 4650, and pullback may extend towards 48 to 48.50.
Right, Nilesh, quickly, FMCG after 15 days saw a gain in trade yesterday. Any topics there?
United Spirit, this particular stock within consumption space is looking attractive after decent correction that we have already witnessed. And yesterday was a reversal candle we have already seen in this particular stock. So we may see a follow-up move towards 1365 to 1385 with a stop loss below 1320. United Spirit is something that is looking attractive.
Okay. Just seconds away from the start of trade, of course, just about 20 seconds or so. And don't be surprised if it's a bit of a muted move, but not a very substantial downside. That's what the initial indications were. Of course, the global setup has not been very positive. But then remember, the Indian equity markets have been under considerable amount of selling pressure through all of last week and heading into today's session as well. So not very surprising, therefore, that you see just a little bit of a wobbly start. In fact, we're seeing a little bit of green in the screen, but it's practically flat at this juncture. Let's also pull up the IT index to see if there's any implication there. And it is down about 0.4% as well. A little bit of pressure following through, bleeding through from yesterday into today as well. Nifty Bank, let's pull that up as well. Okay, so it's up about 0.4%. Let's pull up the heat map for the benchmark Nifty 50 and see where the action is, because yesterday you saw a few very large names that saw pressure. And today at the bottom of the screen, you see the likes of Larsen & Toubro, which is down about 1% or so. You have Hindalco, TCS once again making the cut in terms of the lowest on the screen. Pressure in IT continues. You have the likes of Titan as well as Tata Consumer, SBI Life. But if you think about it, not very substantial moves on the downside. Let's look at the gainers. You have BPCL, you have Trent, you have Shriram Finance, you have Mahindra & Mahindra making a bit of a comeback from what you've seen earlier on in the last few trading sessions, where it lost quite a bit of ground. Both yesterday and today it has gained ground. ICICI Bank gaining about 0.7%. Trent, remember, we've spoken about it. Goldman Sachs is bullish on this counter, and a considerable upside being spoken about there. Shriram Finance is gaining as well. Let's very quickly pull up the broader markets just to see where they are, the mid-cap index and the small-cap index. There has been a little bit of pressure. This too is just about flat. Let's pull up the small-cap index before we go into individual names. And you have about 0.4% gain in the small cap index. But remember, it's been very wobbly and it's all stock specific action. Heela is going to be telling you some of that.
Absolutely. And what's interesting right now, Alex, is that there is some build of outperformance that's happening with regards to broader markets as compared to where the large cap space is concerned. But let's quickly look at a few of the stocks that were on our radar. You have a Coal India that's in focus in today's session. You have a JP Morgan, which has cut the target price on this counter. So that's one of the stocks that we're tracking pretty closely. There could be some bit of pressure on that one. There you go, 0.3% lower. Apart from that, you have an Indus Tower where Goldman Sachs has again cut the target price as well on that one. So Indus Tower, though the stock is seeing gains of almost 0.9%. 361, they've said the margins are expected to improve in FY26 over FY25, and this is at the analyst meet. On the back of it, some moves, strong moves coming in on that one. Union Bank, the loan growth is expected to be at the lower end of the guidance. So again, that one pretty much flat, no major moves on that stock. Biocon, Stellara is the a generic version of Stelara is what Biocon has launched. That drug had a sale of almost $10 billion worldwide, 0.7% higher. Jubilant Pharmova, as Alex was mentioning, doubled revenues by 2030. So there you go, 1.4%. AkzoNobel, on the back of the acquisition of the coating business, that stock is in focus as well. Let's see what that counter is doing in trade. And you have an Interglobe Aviation. You already saw 6 consecutive sessions of gains. And Goldman Sachs has also hiked the target price. Yesterday, Citi was positive on that counter. But now you're seeing some bit of profit booking that's coming in today's session. You have a Camlin Fine Science on the back of the acquisition. They've acquired majority stake in Vinpai SA, 0.7% higher. And a Tata Motors, of course, that we cannot miss in trade today. And that's on the back of the Tata Capital IPO. There could be some gains on the back of the OFS that Tata Motors could see, but pretty flat. So, Alex, I think in terms of individual stock-specific action, what's happening is positive news. You're not seeing a major positive reaction, but slightest of the negative news, you're seeing stocks that are beaten down, right? So, clearly, a lot of stock-specific action in the markets. Secondly, overall, in terms of the breadth, that is expected to be narrow, and the volumes are going to be absolutely tepid.
Absolutely, Hiral, and as you rightly pointed out, the benchmarks are pretty much flat. There's some gains in the broader markets, but more stock specific. Let's pull up something like a Nazara Tech. The company has acquired around 38% stake. Let's see how this stock is doing in trade today. Of Funky Monkeys for around 28 odd crores. In terms of, as I rightly mentioned, the benchmarks are doing trading pretty much flat in trade today. The Nifty Bank, however, is up around 0.12%. But yes, Nazara Tech up by around 1.7%. Let's also pull up something like MTNL because it announced lack of funds for its March 6th bond interest payment, although the stock is up around 1% in trade today. Veranda Learnings, NTPC and NTPC Green, let's pull up those stocks and see how they're doing in trade today. Veranda Learnings company acquired 40% stake in BB Publications. The stock is down by about 0.4 odd percent. NTPC is up by about 1.1 odd percent. And let's pull up some oil and gas stocks here. Motilal Oswal picks HPCL as well as GAIL India. Let's see how they are doing in trade today. There you go, HPCL down by about 0.6 odd percent. And GAIL India down by about 0.6%. But Nilesh, I'll quickly come to you. How are you reading the markets, and how should one trade in these markets right now?
Well, market looks more sort of a consolidation as expected. In fact, I won't be surprised if we see another round of selling and Nifty slips below 22,500. Then I think there will be unwinding of the position from the put side. And since we have monthly expiry this week, so there could be possibility of Nifty moving towards 22,400 to 22,350 zone. But stock specific action is something that we are keeping an eye on. Indian Hotel is looking weak on the chart. Constantly for the third consecutive session, we have seen a constant selling pressure in this particular counter. So looks weak for 700 and 690 sort of levels on the lower side. So Indian Hotel can be sold at current level, keeping a stop loss somewhere around 728, and downside target would be 700 to 690. And apart from that, on the other hand, one particular stock that is looking attractive, looking positive, that is Chambal Fertilizers. This particular stock, in fact, have witnessed an outperformance and looks positive for 565 to 570 on the upside with a stop loss below 535. Chambal Fertilizers can be bought.
From the Tata pack, and we've been speaking about this in the morning so far, we did mark Tata Motors, but it's not moving very substantially. Sunny, what is moving is Tata Investment. It's up over 7% at this point. And this is a stock that we've seen in the recent past that reacts very sharply to news and news updates. What is the kind of attention that you pay to this? Do you track this closely? And if so, what do you think is the reason for this kind of a spurt?
Yeah, so first Tata Motors, I was just checking FY24 annual report. As per that annual report, Tata Motors is holding 43 lakh shares in Tata Capital, and I believe the value of that is close to 350 to 400 crore rupee, assuming the price in unlisted market is close to 800 rupees for Tata Capital. So that's a very minuscule amount as far as Tata Capital, Tata Motors shareholders or per share value for Tata Motors shareholder is concerned. So that's the reason we are seeing a lackluster reaction in Tata Motors on the news of Tata Capital IPO. Tata Investment, Alex, just give me a moment. I need to check what is the holding in Tata Capital as far as Tata Investment is concerned.
Okay. Nilesh, any thoughts on this? Because this is a very strong up move for Tata Investment. I'm seeing a couple of other, so not very many big movers in trade today, right? You've already pointed that out, but a few names that I see on the screen are perhaps names that have gotten beaten down very substantially in the past. So something like a Credit Access Grameen is trading with gains of about 5% or so. Would you utilize these pops to get out though?
Absolutely. So these are the opportunities that we are getting wherever we are getting a strong pullback. Use this pullback to exit because the overall undertone of the market is not looking that promising. We may see further downtick to continue. As far as Tata Investment, this type of counters are concerned, we are witnessing a strong spurt, but unlikely to be a sustainable because the volumes are very dry. Earlier in the previous week as well, we saw multiple attempts were being made to cross its 200 exponential moving average, which is currently placed somewhere around 6250. So unless and until it crosses 6250, there could be possibility of some profit taking at the high levels. So not advisable to chase the momentum. Better, wait for some cool off to happen in this particular counter. So it's an avoid for the time being. And similar with the case with Credit Access as well. It's merely a pullback after 6-7 days of constant decline. So use this pullback to exit from the long position. Stock specific, I think a couple of stocks that are showing strength. We have already mentioned about that. Banking, in fact, is something that may outperform. And yesterday as well, we have seen Kotak Mahindra Bank, a big spurt in that particular counter. And today we are witnessing some follow-up move in HDFC Bank as well. So Bank Nifty, we are a little bullish. So focus should be on the banking space.
And it's up about 0.25%. I'm talking about the Nifty Bank. HDFC Bank was under pressure yesterday, ended with cuts of about 0.9%, but it is gaining about 0.4% as we pointed out right now. I'm just wondering what Sunny has to say about a couple of counters here. And Sunny, in the realty space, and let's pull up the realty index if we can, because it is the worst performer in trade today, down over 1% or so, and you've seen considerable pressure, 1.6% now. Sunny, the residential players, there was a lot of talk based on pre-sales, but some of those companies did disappoint in the third quarter. On what basis would you be buying, if at all, in the real estate counters, or would you hold your horses?
No, so again, we will be selective buyer as far as real estate residential space is concerned. So one of our top pick in the realty space is Lodha, which is a macro tech developer. So a very strong set of pre-sales number, and at the same time, their Palava township, because of the infrastructure development in and around that township, we believe a lot of value unlocking will happen over there. So I feel the fair value is of Macrotech is close to 1,300 rupees with a 6 to 12 month perspective. Another Mumbai-based player, Suntech Realty, we feel trading at a very reasonable valuation, very strong set of numbers delivered during the December quarter. So Suntech Realty is another stock which we like from the real estate space.
The broader markets have capitulated somewhat, and you've seen a fall from the high of as much as 1% for the mid-cap index, over 1% for the small-cap index. Small-cap index now trading with cuts of about 0.4% or so. So therefore, once again, Nilesh, to drive home that point, particularly in the broader markets, you've seen the texture shift once again, and the market breadth clearly now in favor of the declines. What is the strategy on individual names? Would you stay cautious and avoid taking any long bets, particularly in the broader end?
See, in the broader markets, there was an attempt in the previous week where the Nifty small cap and mid cap both have shown some bit of an outperformance vis-a-vis the large cap names. So this pullback was got sold into, and now we expect an underperformance to continue. So not advisable to chase any mid cap and small cap counters for the time being, because large cap itself are available at corrected price. So the focus should be on the large cap names where we get some bit of a margin of safety. So that should be the focus area. So the broader market should be an avoid. Even in stock specific move, I think whatever pullback you are getting in between, that should be used as a exit opportunity, because if you pull up the structure of the Nifty small cap in the past 6 months, this particular index is constantly forming a lower top and low bottom. So the recent lower top has already been formed. The lower bottom can be seen somewhere around 14,900 to 14,800. So it's better to avoid taking any contra bet in the broader market. Focus should be on the large cap.
All right, and yeah, so very choppy at this juncture. It's back to unchanged territory for the small cap index, and so I guess you're going to have to wait for a short while for the dust to settle. It's moving very, very sharply in the early hour of trade. But Sunny, we've spoken about several counters already, but I'm wondering what you think about the oil marketing companies, because you've had a few people, and there was a note that we spoke about earlier on today as well, where analysts are saying that now the worst might actually be over for some of these oil marketing companies, and you add GAIL as well to that list. What would you say, though? Is this an opportunity to go bottom fishing?
Yeah, definitely. If I look from a valuation perspective, I think trading at a very reasonable valuation. Most of the oil marketing companies are trading in a price to earning multiple of 4 to 6, dividend yield north of 4 to 5%. And at the same time, the pressure which we were seeing on as far as GRM is concerned in the September quarter, that has eased off in the December quarter. And outlook seems to be pretty stable as far as refining margin for all these oil marketing companies are concerned. Although the advantage of cheaper Russian crude oil may go away, but I feel that at least the stable crude oil prices will ensure that the margins will remain healthy, to some extent partially offset by losses on LPG, which the street is expecting that government may compensate over the period of next 3 to 6 months. So I think the risk as far as the downside in terms of stock prices is concerned is very minimal at a current juncture. And if somebody is a long-term investor, definitely can accumulate with an investment horizon of 2 to 3 years.
Right. One company that I want to talk to you about from the FMCG pack is the Gopal Snacks. The management will be joining us shortly as well. Literally, Nilesh, from a technical perspective, YTD the stock has already eroded around 18%. What are charts indicating? Because there are brokerages which have a target price of nearly 500 on the counter, but there is pressure as well.
Absolutely. So we have seen a constant decline in last almost 4-5 months now, and there has been no respite in this particular counter. Whatever pullback in between we got, that has been sold into. So structure is still looking weak, and we may see this particular counter revisiting and retesting the levels of 280 on the lower side. So it's an avoid for the time being till the time we see any strong reversal candle. A break above 335 will provide first level of a confirmation of a base formation, but for the time being looks weak, so it's an avoid.
Apollo Pipes is another counter that is in focus and kind of under pressure. Let's pull up the chart and let's also pull up a longer term chart. It's down by about 3% today, but in terms of 6 months period, there you go, it's not performed very well. In terms of today's announcement, well, the announcement came post market hours yesterday. It has made further investment in Kisan Moldings, where it its overall holding in the particular company went up by around 1% odd. But Sunny, the stock is down by about 3% odd. How are you reading this, and overall, how does the outlook look like for Apollo Pipes?
Yeah, so first talking about industry, this entire industry of UPVC, PVC pipe has been under stress in terms of volume growth. So if you see the numbers of all the other players like Prince, or for that matter Supreme, Phenolics, you will find that industry is struggling for volume growth in the this entire category. And again, Apollo Pipe is one of the player in this category, and hence we have seen earning pressure for the Apollo Pipe also. Regarding the development of Kisan Molding, I think I would like to remain neutral basis that development. And anyway, we are staying away from this sector till the time we find some green shoot as far as recovery in volume growth for these UPVC and PVC pipes are concerned.
Right, so that's with regards to where Apollo Pipes goes. Sunny, the other question I have is with regards to where real estate companies are concerned. In fact, one of the brokerage houses actually went ahead and reduced their target price on a prestige estate as well, and that's only on the back of a lower pre-sales expectation for FY25 and seeing some bit of execution concerns. How are you looking at real estate as a pack? Because by the end of FY24, we had seen a major sell-off that had happened in terms of real estate counters as well, and it's not that strong a footing in terms of start to FY25. In terms of 2025.
Yeah, so coming to real estate sector, we continue to remain selective and would like to accumulate few larger players which have got a capability to mobilize equity fund in case of any downturn, economic downturn is concerned. So Macrotech continue to remain our top pick, again now predominantly Mumbai-based player, where their Palava township has seen a lot of potential in terms of value unlocking because of the infrastructure development around that township. So Macrotech continue to remain our topic, and within Mumbai market, Sunteck Realty is another player which we like. They have delivered a very robust set of numbers during the December quarter, and on the top of that, we will see a rental annuity income which will start flowing for Sunteck over the period of next 2 years. So again, that's a good diversification in terms of revenue stream, and that offers a lot of stability. So Sunteck Realty is another pick from Mumbai market.
Right, that's with regards to real estate. Maruti Suzuki, let's just pull up that one on the screens. They've commissioned phase 1 of manufacturing, which is in their facility at Haryana. And this will be around 2.5 lakh units per year is the kind of capacity that they're looking at from this facility as well. And overall, this is going to be positive, taking into consideration the kind of vehicles come from here, whether it's going to be EV. Those details are not known, but on the back of the commissioning, you're seeing some marginal gains, Mahima, 0.8 to 0.9% higher today.
Absolutely. And, there's one stock that is, has not been doing well. In fact, a lot of these counters have not been doing well, but Triveni Engineering specifically, is down by about 4% right now. And YTD also, if we check the performance, it's down by about 20%. Nilesh, on the charts, how are you reading Triveni Engineering?
Well, Triveni is looking weak, but the only positive for this particular stock is that it has a multi-month, multi-year support somewhere around 360. So it's trading just bit of nearby those levels, so at 370 currently. So at 10 rupees away from breaking that crucial support zone. So as of now, it's an avoid, but if it breaks below 360, then I would advise to exit all the long position, because then the next target on the lower side comes around 340 to 320. But as of now, if somebody is already holding the long position, can stay put, keeping a stop loss, stick stop loss below 360. And if you see any pullback towards 380, 390, use that pullback to exit from the long position.
Right, so that's with regards to where Triveni Engineering is concerned. But apart from that, let's just look at few of the other counters, because if you see the breadth, that's absolutely nearly 50-50 in terms of Nifty 50. But M&M, Adani Ports, Bajaj Finserv, Eicher Motors and Adani Enterprises, these are the top gainers in trade today. Nilesh, coming to you, M&M, Eicher Motors, how are you looking at both these counters on the charts?
Well, Aisha, we have already given our buy recommendation at the beginning of the show, and we have a positive outlook continue. Our target comes around 5150. So that's the target that we are eyeing on in Eicher Motor. In fact, overall, across auto counters, we are witnessing a strong move today. Even if you look at Ashok Leyland, this particular stock is also looking strong. So this counter can also be bought at current level and on declines, keeping a stop loss below 221. On the upside, the immediate target comes around 231, followed by 235. So apart from Eicher Motor, Ashok Leyland is also looking positive. Bajaj Finserv, this particular stock, in fact, has been one of the outperformers recently within the NBFC space, and looks good for a little positional perspective from the mass series point of view. This stock may test the levels of 1950 to 1980 with a stop loss below 1845. Bajaj Finserv can also be bought.
All right, so that's the view with respect to Bajaj Finserv and some names in the auto pack. But with that, Sunny and Nilesh, thank you so much for joining us at NDTV Profit and taking us through India Market Open.
Thank you.
All right, with that, let's